All right, so we're going to be working a new pattern today. I call this pattern phases of the moon. There are several different moon shapes in this pattern. We'll talk about the differences of them. We'll get into them a little bit, and we'll turn them all into a pattern by the end of it. Without further ado, though, we're going to get moving. If this is your first time watching one of these videos or participating in one of these, I have a headphone in, so you won't be hearing any music through my system. Please feel free to put on any music or set the tone in any way you see fit. Just make sure that you can hear me. If you see smoke drifting across the camera, that is totally normal and is totally fine. I have incense burning right here, so it occasionally drifts into the camera. So don't worry, my studio is not on fire. I am just a movement hippie. So let's move around a little bit. We're going to start off with 5 minutes of body weight mobility just to get the body moving and the mind in the right mindset to do some stuff, put some work in. So let's get set and ready for those 5 minutes. We're going to start off with the neck, and what we're going to do is glance up and glance back down. So doing our best to keep the ribs locked down. We're glancing up, we're glancing down, we're keeping everything nice and controlled. So throughout this 5 minutes, check in with the body. See if there's anything we're going to have to work with, we're going to have to work around. Feel how the body is feeling right now. Good, let's glance left and right. See how the body is feeling right now at the beginning of this session. See how it's feeling at the end of the session. It is my hope that by the end of the session, you're going to feel a little bit more opened up than you're feeling right now. Good. Let's tilt that head now from side to side. I like to press my opposite side down, trying to find a little extra tension into the shoulder, maybe down the arm, right into those fingertips. Good. Now keeping that chin nice and level, we're going to push it forward and pull it back. So I'm keeping it level. That's why I have the hand there for a half second, just to illustrate that. And we are now sliding and gliding. We are no longer tilting and turning. Good. We're going to slide that chin now from side to side. So we're still doing our best to keep that chin nice and level, not tilting and turning. We're sliding and gliding, now going side to side. Good. We're going to take it to our rotation now, drawing a circle with that chin. Still doing our best to keep it nice and level, slide and glide. Good. Let's switch directions. Good. We're going to take it into the shoulder now. Our palm is facing forward. We're going to lift it up until it's stuck, rotating and circling through, keeping chest and shoulders pointed forward, not twisting, turning, or rotating in that trunk. And if you're trying to drive that side of the chest a little more forward, finding a little more tension. So straighten it, not twisting, turning, just reaching back. Good. Let's switch sides now. Again, palm is forward. It's up to stuck, rotate and circle through. Chest and shoulders stay pointed forward, not twisting, turning, or rotating in that trunk. Owning the position, getting those shoulders ready to swing. Good. Let's go ahead and put an arm out to the side. We're going to find rotation. We're rotating right up into that shoulder, finding stick end tension in both directions, pressing into that end range in both directions, opening some of that tension up, getting the shoulders ready. Good, and we'll switch sides, same idea, finding the rotation in the shoulder, pressing into that end range of motion in both directions, embracing that tension, pushing into it. Good, we're gonna have the arm in front now, we're gonna pull it back and press it down, and we're gonna find rotation from that position. So rotating, again in that shoulder, pressing into the end range of motion in both directions, finding some tension in both directions. Good, and we'll switch sides now, same idea, pull it back, press it down, keeping in that position, we're gonna find rotation, pressing into that end range of motion, finding the tension in the shoulder. Good. Let's take it to those wrists now. Our fingers are wide and our elbows are straight. We're raising and lowering, pressing into our end range of motion, finding the tension both directions. Good. Let's take it to rotation now. So keeping those fingers wide, elbows straight, we're going to draw a circle, pressing the end range of motion the whole circle through, ideally finding tension that whole circle through. Good. We'll switch directions now. Again, finding rotation, pressing into end range of motion, find tension. Good. Let's go to a finger fan now. We're stacking the fingers on top of each other, fanning them open, stacking them on the pinky, fan them open, stack index, fan them open, stack pinky, going back and forth like that. Nice and smooth, nice and controlled, opening those hands wide. Very good. All right, let's take a minute out here, shake out anything else we may need to shake out. Maybe grab some coffee, get some fluid in you, do what you need to do. Okay, so we're going to start off with some swings, some of our basic swings, our base swings, I should say, just to get the mind and body a little more ready. So we're going to be starting with some circles. We'll be moving through some circles, we'll be moving through some hearts, we'll be rocking the moulinet with it. Remember, the moulinet is that wrist roll, turning the club around, smooth and controlled. Hammer grip, saber grip, ring grip. Keep that in mind throughout this session. Okay? Hammer grip, saber grip, ring grip. Very important. So we're going to start with two clubs. We're going to progress through some circles and some hearts to get the body and mind right. Then we'll start working the flow-specific moves we'll be using today. So two clubs tossed up into my Y shape, outward circles to begin. In 3, 2, 1. Let's just draw a circle. Good, nice big, beautiful circle here. I'm getting as much length from those clubs as possible, meaning I'm keeping that nice saber grip. I'm owning my line, not selling myself short, finding it, making it beautiful. Good, and now just on the fly here, we're going to allow this to transition into a heart shape, bend, open, extend, allowing those clubs to go from hammer grip to saber grip, from saber grip to hammer grip. An arm crosses over, just like in those circles. We're doing our best to alternate which arm crosses over, bend, open, extend. Nice, big, beautiful heart shape. Making sure to target my Y, not my T. If we're stuck in T right now, no problem, but remember, we're searching for that Y. Good, we're gonna go back to the circle now, this time with a forward moulinet. So from that Y shape, let's let those clubs turn. Doing our best not to cock back into the hammer and then throw them into the moulinet. Let's just let them drop from the saber. So from the saber to the saber in this moulinet. At first, you might be pausing in your Y shape. Know that the eventual goal is to keep the arms traveling the whole time. Good, we'll transition back into that outward heart shape, but with a forward moulinet there as well. So rocking that wrist roll in that Y shape, or as we extend to the Y shape. Again, at first you might be pausing, but we're working towards keeping the arms in continuous motion. Good, we're going to be transitioning into an inward circle next. We'll use an Indian cross to do so. So as those arms bend, we're going to let the clubs cross, lift them up, drive the elbows home. Big inward circle. Good. Drawing that nice circle. Again, I'm getting as much length from the club as possible, keeping my saber grip, owning my position, owning my movement, staying smooth, staying strong, staying controlled. We're going to be going to our inward heart next. To do so, we'll just allow those arms to tuck, turn, and slice. Tuck, turn, slice. Again, one arm alternates, alternate which arm is on top, one has to go on top, so alternate. And we're getting that grip transition, saber grip to hammer grip to saber grip, smooth and controlled. That's going to help keep the clubs from clanging and banging behind you. It's going to keep the movement as fluid as possible. Next, we're going to be going back into our inward circles, this time with a reverse moulinet. in our T shape. So as you're lifting those arms into the T, send the clubs towards you to keep their momentum going in the same direction. Do a forward moulinette in the direction, the momentum will change. So we want to keep the reverse, the moulinette coming towards us, so we can keep that momentum. We'll be transitioning into an inward heart shape with a reverse moulinette. So that moulinette stays the same. We're just now tuck turning and slicing between moulinettes. I'm still targeting my Y shape, owning that position. We're stuck in T right now, that's all right, but the eventual goal will be to have the mobility to get into our beautiful Y. Good, so I mentioned earlier that a forward moulinette changes the momentum. Let's use that to change direction. So forward moulinette to change directions back to our outward circle. Just a nice, big, beautiful outward circle. Keeping our nice saber grip the whole time, finding some length, owning the movement. Let's allow that to go back to our heart shape. Bend over and extend, outward hearts. Good, and we'll use that Indian cross again. So letting those clubs cross, lifting the elbows up, driving them back in, and go into an inward circle. Good, let's go into an inward heart shape, tuck, turn, and slice. Good, and let's pause in our Y shape. Very good. We're going to take a minute pause here, get some fluid in you. I'm going to have some iced coffee myself, and then we will start building the pattern. Okay, we're going to start with single club to build the pattern. We're going to build, so we've done the first piece of the movement, first part of this flow in our circles, but we're going to do some more circles just to get the habit, just to get them in the pattern of the flow, and then we'll start diving into the new movements that we haven't touched on yet in this session, and some new movements we haven't touched on yet at all in these sessions, so that'll be fun. So we're going to start with our circle. We're going to do it for a minute this time. Then I will introduce the new movement. We'll do it for a minute and so on. So let's grab the club. Let's toss it up into our Y shape. And just a nice single arm outward circle, big and beautiful. So again, I'm doing my best to keep that saber grip. I'm not letting the club push one way or the other. It's just going right out to the side, nice smooth swing, drawing a circle as big as possible. I've been thinking about this move a lot lately, specifically its name, the outward circle, inward circle, sagittal circles, just circles in general. I don't mind it. But I've been considering changing what I refer to it as to full moons. And that'll make a little more sense as we get through this session, because there's half moons and crescent moons, and hey, there's even now a waxing waning moon. But we'll talk about that in just a second. So I might call this full moon, but at least for this flow, consider this the full moon. Good. All right, just take a quick pause and watch coach, watch me. So this is our full moon. We're now going to go into a waning moon or waxing moon. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to call it waxing or waning. We'll talk about that later. But the arm is closing. When my elbow reaches my side, I'm going to start doing a small circle, very similar to that heart shape, but I'm not going to flick to hammer. Instead, I'm going to keep in the saber grip, let it get just outside my shoulder, and extend the club back out to my T shape. So it bends, gets past the shoulder, extends to T shape. You'll notice I have to change the alignment of my palm right here. As it gets past my shoulder, I turn the hand so the palm is facing down and back to my saber grip. Now, if you try and do that push too early, it's going to feel weird. Let the club get past your shoulder so that we have the momentum of the club's head to work with. I'm extending right to a nice, beautiful T shape. Not lazy, not down here. Sharp, getting it out there, extending. Please feel free to join me at any point if you haven't already. So again, I'm keeping saber grip the whole time. As it gets outside of my shoulder, I extend it out. Do we see the moon here? Right? Curve at the bottom of the moon, a small curve to the top of the moon, which is why I call this either the waxing or the waning moon, as opposed to, again, that big circle being the full moon. I find that wrist is where it all comes down to. If I keep it in my saber and really sell it before I push it out there, it makes the swing as smooth as possible. I'm extending to my nice T shape. Good. Let's take a quick pause there. So that is our waxing or waning. We have our full moon. We have our waxing or waning. Now to our half moon. So same idea, this one's coming down. I'm going to let that arm bend, but instead of now flicking it out or up or whatever, I'm going to offer it out, sending back forward. So it's now cutting out in front of me, like I'm striking something in front of me. Outward half moon. Okay, and again, I'm opening and extending, getting that club back to that nice, big, beautiful T shape. Arm bends, passes in front of me, extends out to the side. As I extend, I turn my palm down so I can have a nice scoop, and I'm back in that saber grip.
You're keeping your elbow pinned into your ribs until you extend out.
Yeah, I'm keeping it nice and tight to my rib until I'm ready to push it back out to the side.
All right, sweet. Cheers, dude.
So feel free to join me if you haven't already. We're going to go for another 45 seconds in this one. Offering that club out, sending it to extension in that T shape. Again, turning my hand so my palm faces the ground before I scoop it back in, just to keep that as smooth as possible. Good. Club stays nice and tight as it scoops, kicks forward, and extends. We see the half moon here, right? Crescent at the bottom, flattish along the top, half moon. Very good. Coming up next, the crescent moon. This one is very similar to what we're doing, but I think it's a lot smoother. So watch now, please, as that club comes up. Again, just like we've been doing, just like a heart shape, but instead of flicking to the heart shape or sending the club forward, I'm going to drop it into a ring grip. So holding just with thumb and the pad underneath my index. From here, I'm going to draw a straight line across my shoulders and out, turning my palm so I'm back into my saber grip. Scooping, dropping to the ring, drawing across, and down. Scoop, drop, across, palm down, palm up, palm down, palm up, palm down. Crescent moon, we see the crescent, right? Bottom crescent, top crescent, creating the crescent moon. So I'm trying to take my hand straight across my shoulders here so that that crescent really drives. If I let my hand drop, the club is going to go back on the original crescent, that bottom crescent of the moon. We're making the second one here. So hand goes right across those shoulders in that ring grip. Palm turns to get back to saber. Ring to saber, saber to ring. That's the transition here. Smooth and controlled, moving that arm out. Good. And I really exaggerate that ring. I really let it drop deep. You'll notice it's almost in line with my forearm, right? It's nice and tight. That just makes that swing as smooth as possible, using a little bit of momentum, using a little bit of gravity to get it out there. Nice deep ring grip. Good. So this is the crescent moon. We're going to go back to the half moon next, this time just for 30 seconds. So not allowing it to drop into the ring. We're keeping it in the saber and extending out to the side still. Still finding our nice, big, beautiful T shape. Good. Coming up next, we're going to be going into that waxing waning moon. So keeping it in the saber, we're drawing that small circle before we extend to our T. Again, it helps a ton if you wait until that club gets outside of your shoulder before you try and extend it out. Good. And again, I like to start my palm rotation as I'm extending to get into that nice hammer, or that nice T shape, I should say. We're staying safe with the whole time. Good. And let's take it back to the full moon now with those outward circles. Good. Let's pause in that Y shape. Very good. We'll take a bit of a pause here, let that digest a little bit, and then we'll take it to the other side. Same thing, other side, we're going to go full moon, otherwise known as the outward circle, waxing waning moon, half moon, crescent moon. Smooth and controlled, we're going to do a minute of each, just like we did. And then we're going to narrow it down a little bit to 30 seconds of each movement. We'll play, we'll keep narrowing, we'll get it down, we'll get it down, we'll get it down, we'll get it down, then we'll do it for two. So let's go ahead and take the club, toss it into the other hand, get set and ready for the outward circle or the outward full moon, in this case, on the other side. So I'm up in my Y, keeping my saber grip in 3, 2, 1. Let's make a circle. Good, big, beautiful circle, 1 minute. Keeping that nice saber grip, finding length, smooth and controlled with it. Good, as we transition into the other moves, now that we already know what they're like and are just getting comfortable with them on the other side, we're going to be going into them fluidly. Meaning I'm not going to pause and show you, we're just going to go into it and figure it out on the fly. 30 seconds, listen to the cueing and feel the club. Big piece of club work is not just moving them, but feeling them. Feeling how your movement affects the club, how the club's movement affects you, and trying to connect with it. Good, so coming up next, we're going to be going into that waxing waning moon. So as the arm comes down to those ribs, we're going to allow it to bend like in the heart shape, but we're going to oversell until it gets outside of the frame, extending into our T. And I find this works smoothest if we really focus on the wrist. I even internally rotate my wrist a little bit when I'm coming up here, so that the club can get outside my frame a little bit easier while still maintaining that nice saber grip. And then I just unrotate, getting that arm and palm back to neutral in my extension. Waxing waning. Good, getting those reps in, adjusting your movements, just slightly tweaking them to make this one feel right for you, finding what feels right for you. But remembering, we're trying to draw a waxing / waning moon. Coming up next, we're going to do the half moon. So as that arm scoops, I'm going to send it back out. Extending to my T, and it all comes to that palm. Palm is up during the opening, palm is down during the scoop. Extending into that nice T shape, finding the swing of the club, powering through it. Now this, the half moon, interestingly, adds a ton of torque, ton of tension to that forearm. You might be feeling it with just your 1 pound club. I tried to do this with 6 pound nail the other day. It does not work very well. The crescent moon, I find, works a lot smoother just because you utilize the club's momentum more, but there is a place for the half moon as well. And one of those places is in this flow right now. So let's really own it. Let's find that nice extension into our T shape, that nice scoop, that nice gesture. Good. Let's go into that crescent moon now. So instead of opening up and out, let's let it drop into the ring. Bring that hand right across the shoulders and send it out. Remembering, as we hit the end, we're turning that palm so it faces the ground, bringing us right back into our saber grip. So dropping into the ring, opening up. I always think of this like a half moulinette. I start like I'm going to do a moulinette, but as it hits halfway, I open my arm up, taking that momentum out. Right, open my arm to the outside, taking the momentum with it, creating the crescent moon as opposed to a moulinette. Hopefully that makes sense. Good. We're going to be going back into our half moon next. So not dropping into the ring, keeping it in saber now, and bringing it across. Still finding that nice extension out to our T. Palm is up, palm is down. Palm is up, palm is down. Finding that nice sweep across, keeping it smooth and controlled. I find if I really focus on the rotation here, I'm trying to turn my hand all the way over. If I can, trying to turn my pinky over my thumb. That's what I'm picturing in my mind. As I open up and out, that keeps a nice strong line until I'm ready to turn my arm back around. So my palm is facing the ground and I can get that nice sweep. Adding a little more rotation there, it's going to add a little more elastic tension, which is going to help send that club across. At least that's what it feels like for me. Find what feels right for you. Next time, because we're going to go into our waxing waning next. So again, letting that arm bend, extending out to our T. Again, I find if I try and bring that pinky over the thumb during this motion here, little internal rotation, that when I go to extend and turn, I can keep it nice and sharp. Keeping my saber grip the whole time, finding that nice extension into my T, letting that club get outside of my frame so that I can utilize its momentum as opposed to trying to fight its momentum as I straighten that arm out. Now really think about it as pushing the club out. Trying to keep that arc as smooth as possible. Very good. Let's go back into our full moons now, or our outward circles, if you will. Keeping that nice saber grip, getting some length from that club, finding that nice smooth swing. Very good. Let's pause in that Y. Grab some fluid, shake it out a little bit. Very good, y'all. Very good. If there's questions, of course, feel free to holler them out. If not, no worries. So, like I said, I find the wrist plays a huge factor in these movements. When I'm doing the waxing waning, I turn my wrist this much, as far as I can, so that when I'm out like this, the club's almost in some weird like reverse hammer. From here, I can extend and continue my rotation, making it as smooth as possible. The more I rotate in my wrist, the smoother I can execute this movement. Okay, same with the half moon. More rotation I pull through here, more I try and take my pinky over, the smoother that sweep is, then again turning the other way to get that scoop back and forth. Cool. So we're going to go back to a single club on the other side. We're going to rock it just, how much time do we have? We're going to take it down to right to 15 seconds per movement. I'm confident you know what you're doing now, so we're going to take it right down to just 15 seconds per movement. We're going to blast through it 2 times on your on one side. We'll pause. We'll go 2 times on the other side. We'll pause, and then we'll go into doubles. Cool? So let's go ahead and grab the club. We're going to toss it into our Y. So we're going full moon, waxing waning moon, half moon, crescent moon, half moon, waxing, waning, full moon, the phases of the moon. So from our Y, let's go for that full moon in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Draw that nice big circle, smooth and controlled. Again, we're just going for 15 seconds this time. So we're going to make sure those transitions are smooth and controlled. This is the full moon, and we're working our way down to a crescent moon. That means this next is a waning. So let's find that waning moon. Then I find the rotation of the wrist to be the biggest aspect of this movement in order to get it as fluid as possible. And let's take it to our half moon. Again, focused on the rotation of that wrist, seeing how it affects our club's movement, seeing if we can get into that nice, big, beautiful T shape. And let's take it now to the crescent. So dropping into the ring grip before extending out. Again, turning that palm down, saber to ring, ring to saber. Good, let's take it back into our half moon. Smooth, controlled rotation in that wrist, finding that nice extension, smooth and controlled. Good, let's take it to the waxing moon. Let's see, we're going to a full. Look at that, that's fancy. Hey, we can use either, depending on the pattern. Or I just need to figure out a proper name for it. Good, let's go back into our full moon, otherwise known as our outward circle. Good, let's take it back now into our waning moon. Good, finding that rotation, that extension, smooth and controlled. Good, and let's take it to our half moon. And into our crescent moon, dropping into that ring, hand right across the shoulders, turning palm to the ground. Go back to our saber. Saber to ring, ring to saber. Nice and sharp with it, nice and smooth with it. Good, back into our half moon, finding the rotation that will allow this to stay as sharp as possible, finding that nice extension in our T shape, making sure by the end we're rotating that palm back down. Good, we're back to our waxing moon. And once more into our full moon. Good. And let's pause in that Y. Take about 50 seconds out here, and then we'll go into the other side. Again, 15 seconds per movement. Transitions are incredibly simple in this one, right? We just change the angle we're going. Full to waxing, waning to half to crescent. Very simple transitions, smooth and controlled. We're making good progress through. We're going to do this set on the other side now, 15 seconds per. Then we're going to get into the double club version of this, and we'll go from there. We're going to be working synchronous today. When we do get to double club, though, there is a synchronous version, but that's homework for you. Let's grab the club, saber grip, tossed into our Y, outward circler. Full moon to begin in 3, 2, 1. Just draw that circle, draw that moon. Good, we have our waxing moon next, so we're going to allow that arm to bend. We'll extend it back to our T, finding some rotation in that wrist, making it as sharp as possible. Then we'll go into our half moon now. So again, finding some rotation, dragging that club across, keeping it nice and sharp. And we're going to go into that crescent moon now, allowing it to drop to ring. Hand comes right across the shoulders, points down to the ground. Palm is up as it tracks across, turns to face the ground as we extend to our T shape. Good, and let's bring it back to our half moon. And into our waxing moon. And into our full moon, otherwise known as our outward circle. Getting some length from that club, keeping that saber grip smooth and controlled. Good, and back into our waning moon. So I'm still keeping that saber grip, but I'm adding a little rotation to the wrist so I can get that club outside of my frame a little smoother, finding extension, turning my palm towards the ground and my T. Good, let's bring it to our half moons. Words, phrases, noises. We're in half moons now, smooth and controlled, finding the rotation in our wrist that will allow us to make this as smooth as possible. And now let's transition to our crescent moon. And palm is up, drops into the ring, extends across the shoulders, turns to the ground. Get back in that saber grip. Ring to saber, saber to ring. Good, we're back into our half moons. Finding the rotation of the wrist to find that nice, strong sweep and swing. Turning the palm so it's pointed towards the ground before we execute our scoop. We do not leave the saber grip in this one. Good, let's go into that waxing moon, same idea. We do not leave the saber grip in this one, but we're articulating the wrists to make this as smooth as possible. Good, and one more time, we're going to go into our full moon, otherwise known as our outward circle, just for a few reps. Good, and let's pause in that line. Very good, we're going to take a pause here, grab some fluid, move around, let that brain food digest a little bit. Simple enough. We've introduced some new moves, but we've got some reps in on them. We have some practice in on them. Maybe they're not perfect, but hopefully they're at least starting to feel a little bit smooth. We're going to be going into the double club pattern now. So same idea with 2 clubs. We're going to start again at a minute of each movement to really get comfortable with them. Reason being, some of those moons are a little weird with 2. Okay, so for example, the half moon, we're really going to have to be aware of where our clubs are. One has to pass higher than the other. Our crescent moon, one has to pass higher than the other. So one hand's going to drag across the top of your hips, one hand drags across your shoulders. Okay, but we'll see that when we get into it. Let's grab 2 clubs, toss them up into the line, and we'll start with some full moons or those outward circles. Here we go. Nice big circle, smooth and controlled. I'm making sure I'm not death clenching my clubs. I'm staying as relaxed as possible, keeping a nice saber grip this whole circle through. Good, finding that length, allowing one arm to cross over top of the other, smooth and controlled. Coming up next, we're going to have our waning moon. So as those elbows come in, again, one arm has to cross in front of the other. Other than that, it stays exactly the same. Again, I find the articulation of the wrist to be a very big factor here. I'm allowing the club to get outside of my shoulder before I extend. Again, I really focus on pushing the clubs out there. Feeling how your movement affects the clubs, how the club's movement affects you, connecting with it. Find your waxing waning moon, y'all. Connect with it. Good. We're going to take it to our half moons now. So again, one arm's going to have to be above the other. Articulation of the wrist. Open them up. Turn the palms down. Palms are up and rotating. As we get to our T, we turn them back down towards the ground. Again, I'm going to try and alternate which arm is on top with each repetition. I recommend you do so as well, but if that's too much brain food, don't worry. Just be aware that it's something to work towards. Half moves. And connecting with them. Feeling them. Good, we're going to go into our crescent moon next. So I'm going to let the clubs drop into the ring. One is going to go across my shoulders, one goes across my hips, pointing towards the ground. And again, I'm going to try and alternate which one is high, which one is low. Getting that nice deep ring grip on both arms so those clubs can travel as fluidly, as smoothly as possible. Getting that nice sharp turn into my T point, or my T shape. So I have a nice, beautiful T shape, which gives me a nice, beautiful scoop. If I'm keeping that nice, beautiful saber grip. I guess what I'm trying to say is make it beautiful, y'all. Good, so we're going to be going back up now, but we're going to narrow the sets down just for efficiency of time and because you got it. We're going to be going to our half moons now. Let's go into that. And we'll do this just for 20 seconds. And finding some rotation before we point those palms back down to the ground in our T. Palms are up during this opening, the gesture, if you will. Palms down before the scoop. Good, let's go into our waxing moon. Good, and let's move it into our full moon, or our outward circles. Good, we'll pause in our Y. Very good. All right, we'll take a minute to let that brain food digest a little bit. That's how it looks doubles. Cool, that's how it looks, that's how it feels doubles. We know it, we're aware of it now. What we're gonna do next, narrow the sets down a little bit. We're going to do 20 seconds per move. We're going to go through the entire flow. So from the full moon down, back to the full moon counts as one. We're going to do that 3 times. We'll pause, we'll discuss, we'll go from there. We're going double club. We're going to focus on being smooth and controlled. Sets are short, so we're going to be efficient. We're going to keep the control. Now, by efficient, I mean making it smooth, making it beautiful, not being fast. Pace has its place, it is not right now. Just a smooth, controlled pace. Think of wall speed. But on that note, let's get into it. We have club in hand, both clubs. We're up into our Y, starting with full moons in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Just a nice 20 seconds of those outward circles or full moons. And let's go ahead and take this into the waning moon. Articulation of the wrists, the turning of the palms, getting it as smooth as possible. And let's take it now to our half moons. Remember to extend into our nice T shape, turning those palms back down to the ground because they should be palm up as you're opening And let's take it now to our crescent moons. Again, one hand goes across the shoulders, one across the hips. The clubs are in a ring grip. It's almost like a half moon net. And we're going to go back into our half moons. And into our waxing moons. And full moon. Waning moon. And half moon. Crescent moon. I'm going to drop to that ring of the crescents. Make it a crescent. Good, half moon. Waxing moon. Sure, we're getting that nice extension to that beautiful T shape, flattening the articulation of the wrists. That will allow this to be as smooth as possible. Full moon. Let's pause in our Y. Very good. We're going to pause here, shake it out, take in some air, move around, get some coffee in here, whatever the deal is, take a pause. What we'll be doing next, we're going to narrow it down to just 10 seconds per movement. So the sets are going to go very, very quick. Just like I was kind of doing near the end there, I'm just going to be calling out the move as we transition into it. Your job is to stay as smooth and controlled and beautiful as possible. We're going to go through this a few rounds. Again, just 10 seconds per. I'm going to go through it till I feel like it, to be honest. So let's go ahead and grab some clubs. Let's get ready to swing somewhere between 2 minutes and 20 minutes. Who knows? It won't be 20 minutes, I promise. All right, let's go into our Y. Starting with some circles in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Outward circles for the full moon, if you will. Waning moon. Half moon. Crescent moon. Half moon. Waxing moon. full moon. Waning moon. Half moon. Crescent moon. Half moon. Waxing moon. Full moon. Waning moon. Half moon. Crescent moon. Half moon. Waxing moon. Full moon. Good, and let's pause in our Y shape. Very good, y'all. So that's the phases of the moon. Full moon, waxing, waning moon, half moon, crescent moon, half moon, waxing, waning moon, full moon, up and down like that, back and forth. Your homework, should you choose to accept it, would be to continue narrowing this down. I would recommend starting with 5 repetitions of each movement, moving to 4 repetitions of each, 3, 2, 1. If you get down to 3 and that's where you're comfortable, fantastic. You get at 5 and that's where you're comfortable, fantastic. You get to 2 and that's where you're comfortable, fantastic. If you get down to 1, it might look like this. It might look a little bit different. This is how it looks for me. Circle or full moon, waxing, waning, half, crescent, half, waxing, waning, full, waxing, waning, half, crescent, half, waxing, waning, full, and so on. Right, continues on like that, up and down, smooth and strong. Now, there's an asynchronous version of as well. If you can get it down to the single repetition of each and you want further challenge, that's what I would recommend. Is there an inward version? Of course there's an inward version, but that's for another session. So that is what I have for you all today. Let me know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube or Kajabi, feel free to drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about the names, about the techniques. These are new to me at least, so we can brainstorm together. That's what I got for you guys. Thank you very much for logging on. See you again in person and online. Much love, y'all.